So lately I've been noticing there isn't a lot of content about those popular shows in the 2000s like Terra, Battle Force 5, or of course, Beyblade. Especially talking about the Beyblade Metal Fight, Burst actually has a little bit more content, probably because it's more recent. So I've decided I am gonna start to make some videos about those type of shows. So today we're here with a bit of a different content about Beyblade Metal Fusion to be exact, which is we're gonna be ranking every single blader in each episode. I want to make sure I tell you guys this idea isn't particularly mine. I saw it in a channel called Wild Thing Edits, which actually I've been watching for quite a while, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a video just like that, but a little bit different. In his video, he ranks the bladers based on each arc of the series. I mean, each combination of 3 or more episodes that have an objective or theme in common. And I decided I'm gonna switch things up a little bit. I'm gonna do it per episode. So each episode there's gonna be a change in the power rankings. And the rules just aren't that difficult. Rule number one, I just explained, it's gonna be ranked per episode. So everything that happens in an episode is gonna make changes in the rankings as a whole, not the arc. We are gonna change it episode by episode. Rule number two, flashback characters don't really count. I might make an exception just to talk about 1 or 2, but they don't really count. It doesn't matter because it's another point in time, so it doesn't fit with the theme of the video, which is all about timeline. And rule number three, I don't remember which one it is. I think I had like 5 rules or something when I was making the rankings that I was thinking about, but I don't remember quite well right now, and I changed some of them in the middle of the video, so I don't really care. If they pop up, I'm gonna just tell you guys. So for episode number 1, Pegasus has landed. This one is very simple, just 6 rankings are gonna be used. There aren't a lot of bladers. Jinga is clear number 1 at this point. He just destroys all face hunters. He beats all of them, 100 of them at the same time. Kiyoya comes in second. At this point, we don't really know who he is, but we know he's the leader of the face hunters, so obviously he's gonna be stronger than them. Third comes Benkei, which is the leader of the, the street hunters. He's the second in command, to simplify it a little bit. Fourth, we're gonna have all the other face hunters. Fifth, we're gonna have Kenta. At this point, he's really, really weak. I mean, if we count the face hunters one individually, yeah, Kenta could figure above them, but I'm not even really sure about that. So, we're gonna leave him there. And sixth, we have Kenta's friends, Osamu, Takashi, and Akira. We don't really care about them, so we don't separate them. They're gonna, fade away as the episodes go by. Episode 2, Leon's Roar. Nothing changes. We finally see Kiyoya. We have Jinga and Kiyoya battle, but Jinga wins the battle. Like usual, Jinga is the better blader still. He is in first. Kiyoya remains second. All the rest stays the same, but at least we now get a little bit of a preview of what Kiyoya is capable of. Episode 3, The Wolf's Ambition. This time we finally do have changes with Doji slotting into second place just below Jinga. However, at this point we don't really know how strong Doji is, but he beats Kiyoya quite convincingly, even after giving him the advantage of the location of the battle, where Kiyoya could use his tornado in full power, yet Doji still won. So Doji seems like a big threat. As for Kenta, I'm gonna jump him above the face hunter since he had his battle with Jinga, and he developed his own strategy, which gave Jinga a run for his money to beat him in that battle. Of course, if it wasn't Pegasus' special move, Jinga was in a tricky situation there. He might have lost. So we're gonna jump Kenta up 1 position. Episode 4, Charge, Boo Power. In this episode, Doji gives Benkei the Dark Ball, and Benkei starts practicing to beat Jinga. At this point, we don't change anything, but I'm gonna leave a honorable mention. Benkei could slot ahead of Kiyoya at this point in time, because remember, Kiyoya is starting his intensive training in the Dark Nebula. However, Benkei already has his new Bay in hand, and he's practicing and he's in the full episode, he practiced a whole lot to challenge Jinga. But the battle, Benkei offered a challenge, but I don't see it as being convincingly more challenging for Jinga than Kyoya's battle in the second episode. So I'm gonna leave him in fourth, but that's just a honorable mention. Wouldn't be anything too wrong to place Benkei in third place. And the rest, nothing changes. Episode 5, The Vengeful Gesture. In this episode, we meet Tetsuya Watarigani, a blader who uses Mad Gesture and uses Dirty Tactics. Even though he uses Dirty Tactics, he still has a few gimmicks in his Bay and abilities that Kenta hasn't really shown so far. So I'm gonna place him ahead of Kenta. Episode 6, Aquarius Challenge. Well, things start to really change at this point, as the main characters during this and the next episode are Hikaru and Kenta. Hikaru appears, she's a new face in the city, and she's gonna slot immediately into 4th place. She wanted to battle Jinga, ended up facing Kenta instead and beat Kenta quite a few times. However, Kenta did battle pretty well, except especially for the first round, where he found a way to break her mode change, but not her special move. So in this episode, still, I'm gonna leave him just above Tetsuya. I think he proved he's a little bit more competent than Tetsuya at this point. Episode 7, it's our special moves, Sagittario. In this episode, Kenta and Benkei practice together to... Benkei wants to help Kenta to beat Hikaru, and it ends up working, you know. Kenta beats Hikaru, and I'm gonna place Kenta and Benkei together in 4th place, since I believe the way Kenta beat Hikaru with his flame claw, the way he just breaks all the illusions, is the way that the Dark Bull is used to battle. So I think Benkei would also beat Hikaru at this point. So we're gonna place them together. Hikaru is demoted to 5th. Tetsuya is 6th, and of course we have to mention Benkei did beat Tetsuya in this episode, which gives him a few more points. Episode 8, Mercy's Dangerous Trap. Here we get one more change. We're gonna slot Kyoya up to 2nd place. At this point we don't know who the threat to Jinga really is, if it's Doji, Kyoya, or anyone else. So we're gonna place Kyoya alongside Doji in the 2nd spot. He was in the canyon with the wolves at this point, so he's probably getting a lot stronger, so I'm gonna place him there. Episode 9, Leon's Counterattack. In this episode, I'm gonna rank Kyoya unanimous 2nd place, and Doji is gonna be demoted to 3rd place. I mean, Kyoya is getting so much stronger, and he destroys both Kenta and Benkei together. So at this point, it just feels like Kyoya is the threat, the imminent threat, the one Jinga's gonna have to worry about soon. So we're gonna place him in 2nd place. In episode 10, Heated Battle, Jinga versus Kyoya. Nothing changes here. Jinga and Kyoya battle, Jinga wins, and Kyoya still remains in 2nd. Episode 11, Chase the Wolf, is the episode where Doji beats Kyoya again. But I'm not gonna rank Doji above Kyoya at this point, because he got Kyoya in a very vulnerable situation. His Bay, if I'm not mistaken, his Bay was in the imminence of, or it was actually broken. I'm not really sure right now. Episode 12, Infiltrate the Dark Nebula's Castle. After finding the Dark Nebula, this episode is where the main 5, if we count Madoka, they start to infiltrate the castle. Once again, nothing changes in the top. Den and Reiki are gonna slot in the 7th place. Could be 6th as well. I mean, they battled pretty nicely together against Kyoya, but they're no real threat at this point. Episode 13, El Drago Awakens. So finally, we managed to complete, after 13 episodes, the top 10 ranking, with Ryuga immediately slotting into 1st place, where he's gonna stay for quite a while after convincingly beating Jinga, leaving him in the dust. He's clearly the number 1. Now Jinga finally gets demoted out of that 1st spot. Episode 14, Memories of Rio. Nothing changes really, and as I said, I'm not gonna use old characters from flashbacks in the power rankings, because I don't think it's fair. We don't know how they fit in the timeline. But I mean, I'm gonna make an exception for Rio, just an honorable mention. I think he deserves. He's one of the most important characters, and later we know he's actually still battling and all, and he's not dead. And I'm gonna leave him in second, along with Jinga. The thing is, he lost to Ryuga, just like Jinga did, and I doubt Kiyoya could beat Rio at this point. Kiyoya is still very amateur, he still doesn't know how to control his emotions, and Rio would probably fit above him. Episode 15, The Mysterious Hyoma. That's the episode where we see our main characters going to Koma Village and trying to find Jinga, and Hyoma shows his face for the first time, and we're gonna leave him in 5th place at this point. He seems like a real good blader. We don't know why he's there, but we know he is a threat. We know this guy is gonna be important. Kenta and Benkei stay tied in 6th place. I don't see a reason to separate them at this point. But in episode 16, The Magnificent Harriet, we do see a reason to separate them. Benkei is gonna jump Kenta up to 6th, Kenta down to 7th. Sorry, Benkei stays 6th and Kenta down to 7th. And Hyoma, I'm gonna jump him up above Doji. Because at this point, we don't know. Is Hyoma with the Dark Nebula? Even the main characters don't know, and we don't know. But he seems like a real good blader. He beats Kenta and he beats Benkei. So, who knows what this guy is capable of, but Benkei does give him a greater run for his money than Kenta did. And at this point, I want to say that this battle between Hyoma and Benkei is the best battle of the whole anime so far. I just want to say that because it's really necessary, because it really is the best battle. That's an amazing battle. Episode 17, The Silver Pegasus, nothing changes. We just see Jinga in the mountain. Probably he climbs up a little bit closer to Ryuga at this point, but we can't really see the power ranking here. So, in terms of positions, nothing changes. Episode 18, The Green Hades, is where we see the battle between Jinga and Hyoma, and the first time Jinga beats Hyoma, and nothing really changes. We still are like, is Hyoma stronger than Kiyoya? Is Kiyoya stronger than Hyoma? We still think Kiyoya is the stronger, I think, because there's a reason Hyoma battled Benkei and Kenta, but not Kiyoya in episode 16, right? Episode 19, Conquer the Tag Team Battle. This is the episode which is the most filler of them all in season 1, and it's solely made to make children buy Beyblades, and I totally didn't fall for that when I was young, of course not. In this episode, Benkei and Kenta win a tournament by changing the parts of the Beyblades, and after losing all the parts in the last battle, Jinga helps them out, knowing that the power comes from inside and not from the pieces, and they still win. Episode 20, Begin the Survival Battle. This is a new chapter now, this is the new arc, and this time we're gonna have a new character as well, which is Yu. At this point we don't know who he is, so we're gonna slot that anonymous phantasmagoric figure there in 3rd place, because he seems like a threat. We don't know what his kind of level is, but he did have a great battle against Ryuga, so we could probably think he's about the same level as Jinga or Kiyoya, somewhere in between, so we're gonna leave him there in 3rd. Episode 21, Warriors on the Desert Island. In this battle, we do see Kiyoya beating Hyoma quite convincingly, so we're gonna drop Hyoma down to 6th place. We also discover who Yu is, and we see him beating all 3 of Benkei, Kenta, and Hikaru all at once. So this guy, man, this guy's a threat. Now we can convincingly put him above Kiyoya, since Kiyoya did beat Benkei and Kenta together, but Yu did beat them both, plus Hikaru, so it's just fair that he fits above. And it wouldn't be any absurd to fit him above Jinga at this point, but we still don't know how strong Jinga would, place against 3 crazy bladers like Benkei, Kenta, and Hikaru. We would think he would win, of course, but we're not really sure, so we're gonna leave him in 3rd, but Yu could definitely be in 2nd at this point. However, that's no biggie, because Yu will jump up to 2nd in the next episode. Episode 22, The Fearsome Libra, is the episode where Yu beats both Kiyoya and Jinga, and is gonna lot up to 2nd place. Episode 23, The Road to Battle Bladers. That's the episode where our main character starts their journey to try and earn 50,000 points to join the biggest tournament in the country, and still nothing changes here. There aren't big battles, There's a bit of a festival battle between all of the characters, but we don't even see who won, even though we kind of guess it was Jinga because he used the last special move. But it doesn't really matter, does it? Episode 24, The Beautiful Eagle. That's the episode we meet Tsubasa. Tsubasa seems like a great blader, calm, calculated. He did battle Jinga, gave him advice, and at the end he lost to Jinga. But we know, and Jinga knows, Tsubasa didn't use all his power. He has a lot installed. So we're gonna figure him up to 3rd place. Tsubasa straight into 3rd, just like you did, ahead of Jinga, and Jinga is now out of the podium. Would you believe it? Episode 25 is Sniper Capricorn. That's where we meet Tobio, which has his Storm Capricorn. He has a crazy style of battle. He did battle Kyoya, and Kyoya beat him. That's a little bit more of power showing by Kyoya. At this point, we still don't know how strong Kyoya is becoming, but that's an important battle to see how Kyoya is improving. And Captain Capri is just, he's just okay. He's strong, but not that strong. Episode 26, we're now officially in the second half of the anime in the 1st season. And at this point, we do see Tsubasa climbing up to 2nd place in the power rankings, as he did tie with you, but he did leave it clear he had more power in store that he didn't use. So we're gonna rank him just above you there. Episode 27, Intruders in the Challenge Match. That's the episode where Kenta and Hyoma are doing a challenge match for points for Battle Bladers, and Tsubasa and you just invade there to battle them and just collect data from them to the Dark Nebula. You beats Hyoma and Tsubasa beats Kenta. However, Kenta did give Tsubasa a bit more of a difficult fight than Hyoma did to you. So we're gonna give one more position to Kenta. He's gonna jump Captain Capri up to 8th. But I don't think he's gonna beat Hyoma yet, because of course their 1v1 wasn't that while ago, and Hyoma did beat Kenta, so it's just fair that Hyoma still is ahead. Episode 28, Dark Gaseous Big Krabby Operation. I don't think anyone is gonna change a position here, because it's all about Tetsuya. He did beat Benkei, but he used dirty tactics, so I'm not gonna even figure him there in 10th place. I don't think he deserves it. Episode 29, Kenta and Sora. Those Sora episodes, not much really changes. I'm gonna slot Kenta above Hyoma at this point, because I think he did become a bit of a trainer to Sora. He really is understanding the meaning of Beyblade that Jinga told him. I think he deserves that 7th position at this point. But for Sora, he just doesn't fit in the top 10. He's just a little bit too weak at this point. However, in episode 30, The Bewitching Pisces, we do meet Hyutaro, who is an actual threat. We don't know who he's with. We don't know what his objective is. But we do know he gave Jinga a run for his money. One of the hardest challengers for Jinga so far. As for Jinga, we are gonna put him up to 2nd place. I mean, after the battle he had with Hyutaro, which was a crazy challenge, we just feel like, okay, this guy is actually taking things serious now. He actually needs to beat Ryuga. He's on a grind. And we're gonna slot him up to 2nd once more. He has a bit of a leap on the power. But at this point, and for the next few episodes, Jinga, Tsubasa, and you are just so close in terms of power. It's difficult to really separate them. Episode 31, The Twin Genius. We finally see once more Den and Reiki, which is cool, because after the Dark Nebula, we just probably thought, okay, these guys are never going to be used again. They got no diffed by Kyoya. But no, they are actually back, and they now have one Beyblade for both of them. So they're going to jump up to 10th. I think they would beat Tetsuya at this point if they had a battle. And maybe they would beat Benkei as well. We are not really sure at this point, but for the sake of changing things up, we're gonna leave them there. That's the episode where we see Jinga, Tsubasa, Yu, Kyoya, Kenta, and Hyoma in a battle, all of them 6 of the same at the same time. Hyoma, of course, the first one to get knocked out by Tsubasa, so he's not gonna change any positions. Kenta, not gonna really change him. He did survive until the final 2, but of course that was all thanks to Kyoya. Kyoya did win the Battle Royale, so he could very well fit ahead of all 3 of Yu, Tsubasa, and Jinga. These four are really close in terms of power at this point, but I'm still gonna leave them as it is. Tsubasa and Yu try to kill each other. Jinga got in the middle. All three of them did kill each other at the end, and Kyoya just used it for winning the points. You know, it's just not. Oh, Kyoya did beat them on the power to power battle. It wasn't quite the case, so we're gonna leave them as it is. But just bear in mind that second to fifth, they are just really close in terms of power at this point. So 33, the death of the Phoenix. This is the episode where we meet Phoenix, who breaks Jinga's pointer. It's a very tense situation, but he just proves to be really strong, and we're gonna feed him ahead of Jinga, just below Ryuga at the top of the table. Episode 34, Shine Virgo. That's the episode where Jinga starts his comeback and he meets Teru. They have a crazy battle. Jinga wins at the end, but Teru shows he's a very decent later, and he's gonna slot just behind Hyutaro, just ahead of Doji. Doji hasn't been battling for a while now, so he will inevitably drop down a few positions. And Teru did show quite decent power, so it's gonna jump up to 8th place. Episode 35, El Drago on the move. We're gonna slot Captain Capri along with Hyutaro in 8th place, because they both got destroyed quite similarly by Ryuga. We just got Captain Capri back there, and I just want to state that in this next few episodes from now until the end of the season, Captain Capri, Hyutaro, Teru, Kenta, Benkei, and even maybe Hyoma, these guys are just very close in terms of power, so they are gonna change there a little bit at the bottom. I might not see it and not talk about it, but just know they are very close in terms of power. It doesn't really matter who's ahead, who's behind there. It's just very on the detail, very on who has the highlights on the episode. Just doesn't really matter. Episode 36, Broken Wings. That is the episode where Tsubasa tries to sneak in the Dark Nebula and gather information, and that's where we know he's actually a WBBA agent, or like, I'm not sure if we are 100% sure of it, but we know, oh, he isn't in the Dark Nebula because he wants to, he's there as an infiltrator, but sadly Doji, Yu, and Ryuga, and all the others Dark Nebula members end up facing him, knowing what he's doing, and he has to be saved by Phoenix. Nothing changes in the ranks. Episode 37, Rock Scorpius, Deadly Poison. That is also a Sora episode, so nothing changes in the rankings as well. Episode 38, Run, Jinga, is the episode, of course, where Jinga needs to run and rush to his next and last tournament before Battle Bladers to get the 50,000 points he needs to. And that's where Tsubasa jumps in to try and hold him back for some reason. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but you know, I'm not quite sure why he was doing that right now that I thought about it. But anyway, Hyoma, Benkei, Hikaru, and Kenta all face Tsubasa and they all lose to him. We just make sure we shouldn't move any of Jinga's friends up the way. I don't think so. And Tsubasa stays fourth, I think. He would still lose to Jinga, as we see in next episode. Episode 39, Clash Fireblaze versus Pegasus. Jinga beats Phoenix, and of course Phoenix did beat Tsubasa. Did he? I'm not sure actually if he did beat Tsubasa, did battle, but Phoenix would obviously beat Tsubasa in a 1v1. He had the upper hand in all their interactions. So with the win, Jinga jumps over Phoenix and finally surpasses his dad. Episode 40, Go Battle Bladers. That is the episode where the final arc began, the Battle Bladers arc, which is the final tournament of Season 1. And some changes in the bottom of the rankings are going to be made, such as Hyutaro being unanimous in 8th. Captain Capri gets dropped down massively since Benkei did beat him, which grants Benkei a place in the top 10. But of course, as I said, Captain Capri and Teru, and as well as Hyoma a little bit, they are all really close there with Kenta, Benkei, and even Hyutaro a little bit. But Teru did get beaten off screen by Hyutaro, so I guess we can't really do much about him at this point. Episode 41, The Serpent's Terror. That is the episode where we meet Reggie for the first time. His first and only appearance was in Battle Bladers, and he just appeared like a crazy threat. And we're gonna rank him up to 7th place since he completely destroyed, and I mean it, Hyoma's Rock Aries. In episode 42, The Dragon's Punishment, Yu was gonna get his power given to Ryuga, of course, since he lost his battle to Jinga, but Doji, as Yu was always the number 2 in the Dark Nebula, Doji gives him another chance to prove himself against Reggie. However, he was on the verge of losing, but he did escape at the end. But we can definitely say Reggie was a better blader than Yu at this point. Maybe because Yu was very scared. If he was, battling fine, he would have beaten Reggie, but Reggie's style of battle is all about making the opponent afraid and scared, so we're gonna rank him above, and Yu's gonna drop 2 positions to both Reggie and Kiyoya. Episode 43, the deck is stacked. This episode begins with the battle between Kiyoya and Benkei, and even though Kiyoya won this battle, I'm gonna rank Benkei in 10th place. He did put up a crazy fight. I mean, his life goal was to beat Kiyoya, or at least get close to it, and he did, but Kiyoya still came out on top. Kent is gonna drop 1 position, but it's not gonna stay for long, because as I said in the beginning of the arc, like these bladers that are close in terms of power, they're gonna be switching up and down all the time between themselves based on who had the highlight on the episodes and the most recent battle. In episode 43 as well, we are gonna see Jinga jumping back up to 1st place after his battle with Hyutaro, which he won convincingly, and that seemed like a push to victory. It's crazy how both times Jinga got his leap of power, it was in his battles against Hyutaro. That's where, he, with his new special move in the 1st battle and this 2nd battle now, being able to do it again. I mean, Jinga, I think we see him a lot stronger at this point. Episode 44, in Trust Emotions, Kenta makes his comeback to the top 10 after a crazy battle with Reggie, giving him a run for his money. I don't think Benkei would have been able to. Of course, Kenta did get helped by Yu in that battle, but still, I'm gonna rank him above Benkei at this point in time. Episode 45, Ego Counterattacks. That episode, we're gonna see Ryuga jumping back up to 1st ahead of Jinga. As I said, these two, they are gonna suffer the same that the guys in the bottom of the top 10 are. They are so close in terms of power, so they're gonna be jumping up and down. Every single battle, we just feel like, okay, who has the upper hand at this point? Who's gonna get to the final in better shape? And at this point, Ryuga's dominant performance against Tsubasa after Tsubasa found a way to stop his special move, dark move, sorry. I think, he has the upper hand over Jinga at this point. Episode 46, Libra Disappears. That's the episode where Yu gets captured by Doji and the Dark Nebula to offer his power to Ryuga, and Kenta and Hyoma go after him. Episode 47, Bones of Steel, we do see Phoenix hop up to help Kenta and Hyoma in the battle against Doji. And at this point, incredibly, even though Phoenix won, we're gonna rank up Doji. He's gonna go up to 4th. We finally see him battle again, and he did give Phoenix, which was the 3rd best blader at this point, a run for his money. He really needed that help from Kenta to beat Doji there, so Doji is really more capable of battling hard than we initially thought. So we're gonna rank him up to 4th, just behind Phoenix. We also see Jinga getting a dominant win over Reggie in episode 47, which grants him back the 1st place spot. Episode 48, The Truth About Light and Darkness. Even though in this episode there aren't any battles, we're gonna rank Kiyoya up to 3rd place. Yeah, he gained 3 positions. I mean, we could have progressively been ranking him up, but it's this episode where we really see how far he's come, He did train like crazy to beat Jinga, and after Ryo tells everyone the story of the fragment, Kiyoya is sure he's gonna beat Ryuga and challenge Jinga in the final. And at this point, I don't see either Ryo, Tsubasa, or Doji being able to have this confidence in a battle against Ryuga, which leads us to episode 49, Fierce Battle Lion versus Dragon. And that episode I separated in two parts. Part 1, of course, I'm gonna rank Ryuga and Kyoya second, equal in the rankings, because if you remember well, Kyoya did challenge Ryuga to a battle with his power only in the first half of the episode, and that was what was happening, and they were leveled. They were equal on power, if not Kyoya having a little bit of an upper hand since he still had a new special move on his pocket. However, in part 2, Ryuga started to get consumed by El Drago, which is gonna give him back the first place spot. He completely destroyed Kyoya after this point, and this monster Ryuga is just a whole new level of power. It feels like too much, even for Jinga. Imagine Kyoya. So Jinga drops down to second and Kyoya down to third, with everyone dropping one more position because of that. And finally, we hop onto the final battle of Battle Bladers, which starts on episode 50, the Furious Final Battle, of course. And nothing changes here. Ryuga still has the upper hand the first half of the match against Jinga. He's a complete monster at this point. Jinga is still second, Kyoya is still third, now hospitalized sadly. And in the final episode of Season 1, Beyblade Metal Fusion, we have episode 51, Blader's Spirit. And this episode, of course, we see Jinga finally overcoming the dark power Ryuga imposes. He has the power of light. Tsubasa, Kyoya, and Hikaru help him out. All his friends help him out. And he ends up winning the battle, saving Ryuga and saving the world at that point, which gives him the Battle Bladers Championship win, as well as the first place in the power rankings. And that is going to be the final order. Jinga is the best in Season 1. Ryuga was the second. Kyoya rounding out the podium in third place, followed by Rio, the Phoenix, Doji, Tsubasa, Reggie, Yu, Hyutaro, and I think these top 9, there's no real question of order. I think it's very fine the way they are. It's very fair. Hey guys, so post-editing me here, I just want to say it wouldn't be wrong to place Tsubasa above Doji at this point, and I think I would even do that myself. But Tsubasa never proved him like against Phoenix like Doji did, so I guess it's okay to have Doji ahead, but it would be okay the other way around. Just want to say that. And then in 10th, I left Kenta there, but it could very well be Teru, could very well be Benkei, or even Captain Capri. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. That was very long to make, very troublesome. It did take a while, a few days to make, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a real cool concept and a real cool content as well, because yeah, look at that, look at the table, it's so cool, it looks so cool, right? So if you guys wanted me to do this in Metal Masters and Metal Fury and even Shogun Steel, I totally plan on doing it because it was tons of fun to do this, and now I'm gonna suffer to edit it, but it's gonna be cool. I mean, I just want you guys to enjoy, and hopefully we can make a community around it, or be part of this community, which is has never been that, but of course it's not as well highlighted as before, as in the 2000s, but surely we can make a real nice community. So guys, thanks for watching, and I see you guys in the next one. Take care.